Alright, big finish. Big finish. Crystallizer, I think, is one of my favorite cards in the history of all card games ever. Let me explain. So this card is so fucking cool. Let's start. Is it Dire Mole? Dire Moles are in right now. Dire Moles are the shit. Dire Mole. Yeah, got it. Now, so what this does, this damages you, and then it gives you armor, right? So it's just converting, your life total stays the same, but 5 of your health becomes armor. This does so much shit. This does so much. Warlocks want to hit themselves in the face. So this allows warlocks to hit themselves in the face without actually taking damage, which powers up their spell stones for free. It powers up their 1/5 demon guy for free. Like, it just does cool shit for free. They don't even have to take damage now. They just have this thing. It's amazing. In Warrior, being damaged turns on Battle Rage. So right now there's not really a Battle Rage deck, but if there is a Battle Rage deck again, one way you can fight it as another control player is to just not hit the Warrior. And then they can't use, like, their Battle Rage is not as effective, so they have issues with cycling. With this, they can just turn it on in those situations. Also, they get armor, so they can shield slam. It turns on all of their armor matters effects. In a class with access to healing, like Priest and stuff, you can take the damage, gain the armor, and then heal it back naturally over time, so you're just 1 mana, 1/3, gain 5. With really no downside. In Paladin has all these heal-based cards where they want to take damage in the early game and then heal themselves for tempo gains. And they kind of struggle to hurt themselves in some matchups. This gives you a way to hurt yourself, again, no cost. Like, this card is so fucking elegant. It's so elegant. I love it. Whoever designed this, I want to hug them. This is just the best fucking card I've seen in years. In any game. In any game. It is such a simple effect. And so many classes want it for totally different reasons. Do you know how hard that is to do well? This card is just so fucking good. So it's not like a build around or anything. It's not like this powerhouse. But just in terms of design, I think it is a good card. But in terms of design, this is amazing. This is a masterpiece. God, I love Crystallizer. Okay. Augmented Elec. It's a spider tank, which is a beast. Cool. Right away, that's good. The effect is really wonky. There are a lot of things that shuffle stuff into decks now. The problem is none of them are, like, super relevant. They're either things that, like, if you do it, you don't want this. Or if you have this, you don't have enough shuffles. Like Hunter has, like, Dire Frenzy. This is good with that. Getting an extra big thing in your deck. But there's only 2 cards in your entire deck to synergize with these 2 cards in your entire deck. It's very fringe. And if you're going for, like, Mill Rogue style stuff, you don't want to play a Spider Tank at all, and you have enough. You have infinite shuffling anyways without it. So, yeah. I don't know where the home is. I mean, it is just good stats. So, like, I think this is a really good card to put this effect on. I don't know what you do with the effect, but it's a good body for it. In Hunter, I'll probably stick with Hydra for, like, mid-range stuff, just because that synergizes with all of the buffs in the deck instead of just Dire Frenzy, and just gobbles up aggro. Omega Defender. Lots of talk about this card. It's not just a 4-mana 2/6 taunt. It's not 4-mana 12/6 taunt. If you're in either extreme camp, you're stupid. So this is, it's comparable to, like, Pyros and Stonehill Defender type cards. Yes, it is, in the early game, just a 2/6 taunt. It's just a Stegodon without the beast tag. I'm really bothered that they changed the art instead of just making this a mech, because we clearly need good 4-drop mechs, and we only got the stealth guy. And I guess the Annoytron for Paladin. But, like, just make it a mech, man. Fuck you, Blizzard. The old art was fine. I don't know why they did that. They're just like, no, we can't buff this unreleased card. Change the art. It's pink. Everything's pink. I don't even know what's going on here. Is that like a crystal on their back? It doesn't matter. Yeah. So like a Pyro Stonehill type effect. There are these cards where you want to add meat to your curve. The problem with just putting big stuff in your deck is that you draw it. So in your opening hand, you get like a bunch of 8 drops or some shit, and then you can't do anything and you die. This is the advantage of cards like Pyros and Stonehill and now Omega Defender, is you put big stuff in your deck. This is big, powerful late game meat for those grindy games, but it doesn't fuck your curve up. It's just stuff you can play. Pyros, 2 mana, 2/2, no text, fine, whatever. You're just doing stuff. Stonehill, 3 mana, 1/4 taunt, fine, whatever. You're just doing stuff. Omega Defender, 4 mana, 2/6 taunt, fine, whatever. You're just doing stuff. That's better than both of the other two already. And it's not great, but as far as bad cases go, just doing something in the early turns is better than doing nothing. Hopefully this isn't the only card you play. Like, if you only play this on turn 4 and don't do anything else for, like, the first 6 turns, yeah, you're fucked. But ideally, you're playing reasonable cards and also putting this down. And then a lot of games go to turn 10. There's this myth that games just end on 6. That's only true if you only play aggro, and if you only play aggro, please stop. A lot of games go past turn 10, and this is extremely powerful. Like, even if it were like a 6/6, I'd be like, yeah, this is a good card. If it just got +4 attack once you hit 10 crystals, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Sure, that's great, because, 6/6 taunt, fine, reasonable. It's a 12/6. 12 is huge. 12 is way more than you need. This is like, if they don't answer it, they die kind of level. They'll probably answer it, and they probably won't die. But still, like, I don't know. It's not an insane card, but any deck that wants to put meat into their strategy without fucking up their curve will look at this and Stonehill and Pyros and these kinds of effects. Like, it's just another one of those. Historically, they've been good. This seems like a good one. There's no reason to lean too far in either direction over it. It's just a reasonable card. Weaponized Pinata. So this is most comparable to Shifting Shade, which did not really see play. It saw play for a little bit in Quest Priest, and then I think that got phased out really quick by most people. This is a neutral, and it's a mech, so it's got that going for it. But the card pool is worse. In general, the card quality of just taking a random card from a constructed deck is going to be much better than just taking a random legendary card. Legendary cards are all over the place these days. There's a lot of, like, janky 2/2s. Even the big minions usually have bad bodies and require a lot of synergy to do something, like Tess and Shudderwalk, and Ozrook and all this stuff. Like your big legendaries aren't just big stats like they used to be as much. And your little legendaries, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of little legendaries that are, like, synergy focused as well, or just dinky bodies. Yeah, so it's all over the place. It's not a bad card, but I don't think it's good enough. Like, it's worse than a card that doesn't see play. It is neutral, which gives it more opportunity. Like, it gives it 8 more classes that can explore this type of effect. But yeah. I really like this card. I hope I'm wrong. This card is fucking awesome, but I don't think it's strong enough to actually be worth putting in a deck. I think it is good. I just want to be clear. I think it's a good card, but you can't just be good and see play. You have to be good enough to be one of 30. There's a lot of good cards. I just don't think this is good enough to be one of the 30 best cards you can put in your deck. Operative, I mean, not very good. Compare it to Galaka Crawler and Black Knight. So, Galaka Crawler was perfectly on curve hate, and when it hit a thing, it got bigger. It got bigger. It was on curve, and it ate a thing, and it was cheap. 2 mana on curve, overstatted when it succeeds. This is 5 mana way under curve by 2, and doesn't do anything extra when it succeeds. Yeah, that's really, really bad. So, to put that into perspective, Galaka Crawler did see play. But this was the height of patches, right? Patches was everywhere. Patches was so omnipresent that if you had room to put 3 cards in your deck, you'd put Patches and 2 Bloodcell Corsair, whatever the 1/2 pirate was. Or just whatever. Patches and 2 pirates, if you can fit those in a deck, you just put them in the deck. It was absolutely everywhere, and Galactic Crawler still wasn't in every deck. Okay? That's what it took for it to be an okay card. So for this to be viable, mechs would have to be more omnipresent than Patches at the height of Patches. Just let that sink in. For this to be a card you play, mechs would have to be more omnipresent in the meta than Patches at the height of Patches. I don't see it. And even like more, like way more, because this is way worse than Galactica. It can't be as much as Patches. It's got to be way more because this is way worse. And you look at Black and Night and you're like, well, that's understated and expensive too. Why isn't that just as bad? Because it hits taunts. It doesn't hit a tribe. It hits a mechanic, and it hits a mechanic that is in a wide variety of decks. Like in almost every meta, taunts are in most decks. Right now, taunts are in most decks. We've got Chain Gangs, Star Creepers, Lich Kings, Taunt Druid as an archetype as a whole. There's Primordial Drake still creeping around. There are taunts all over the place. So it has targets, right? If you're targeting a mechanic that's in a bunch of archetypes, that's much more flexible and useful and likely to hit things than targeting a specific tribe that probably isn't going to show up very often outside of decks outside the tribe, if that makes sense. Now, maybe there's going to be some breakout mechs in this, cards that just happen to be mechs that end up in a lot of non-mech decks. Maybe, and maybe that's enough to have this as a one-of. But, God, it looks really fucking bad. It looks really, really bad. Okay, speaking of bad 5-mana 3/3s, we have Holomancer. So, the benefit of summoning 1/1 copies of things is to get their effects, right? So you're looking for death rattle effects, end of turn effects, static abilities, that kind of thing. Stuff where the body doesn't matter, you're just trying to get the text. You can't control what the text is. Your opponent is playing the stuff, right? So they're not going to give you good text. Why would they give you good text? So you're going to get no text or bad text is what we're talking about. So basically, we just look at it. So how many 1/1s, vanilla 1/1s, do you have to get for this to be worth it? And if we say you get 2, that's like 5/5 in stats. That's like breaking even. We don't want a card where your opponent has to play 2 minions for you to break even. We don't want that. So we saying bare minimum 3. Bare minimum 3 for this to even be close to acceptable. How often are you going to play a 5-mana 3/3 and then your opponent plays 3 minions into it before removing it? Does that ever happen? I don't think that ever happens. This card just seems complete garbage. Just complete garbage. Maybe if there's a world where you can, like, they print something where you can control what your opponent plays, and then maybe also you put stuff into their hand that you would want to play into this. But, like, if you have that much control, just kill them. Just fucking kill them. Like, what is this card? Interesting design, but, like, why is this a 3/3? Why is this 5 mana? It's just a complete waste. Just a complete waste. 5 mana, 6/6 beast with a downside. So this is in, like, the Hydra Fel Reaver slot. Hydra's still in standard. I think Hydra's generally better than this. The downside of this is kind of worse than Hydra, and also kind of not as bad. You don't instantly die to Volcano, and if your board is already mostly clear, then the there's no drawback. It's just 5 mana 6/6. It's so, like, maybe when Hydra rotates out in I guess half a year, we might see this take that spot if nothing else comes in those style of decks. We haven't really seen much Hydra lately, though. I think it's not a bad card. It's just like it's in a weird spot where it's already like a niche spot, and then it's overshadowed by things that are better at that. But it is a 5-mana 6/6, and if you can turn the Battlecry into an upside, that could be really powerful. So you can play this with Acolytes, you can play this with Armor Smiths, you can play this with Patrons. Stuff where you want to damage your own board. Where you can turn that into an upside. You can hatch eggs with it. That might be useful. So this is a really interesting kind of toolbox card. If you can have a 5-mana 6/6 with an upside that does more stuff for you, and it's a beast on top of that, potentially very powerful. I don't know how that deck's going to come together, if there is a deck that can do that, but I mean it's neutral, so there's a lot of possibilities for a card like that. Very interesting. Then we have Iron Juggernaut version 2. Really bad, a lot worse than Iron Juggernaut. A lot worse. The bomb's half the size, and it's got less attack for -1 mana. Way worse. I mean, it is a neutral, and you can play multiples of it. So you can have like some sort of weird deck where you just keep bouncing these and playing bombs and whatever. It's a cool card. It's a fair card. 5-mana 5/5. Eventually it hits for 5. Like, it's not bad. It's just, it's hard to imagine this being great. Like, Iron Juggernaut's kind of a meme win condition in Warrior, the control Warrior decks anyways. And this is a worse version of that. Star Aligner is really interesting. So if you, I don't know how you do this. There's a lot of like 2/7s and stuff in the game. So if you can stick those, maybe in like Priest, because you can have Circle of Healing to heal them back up. And also potentially like 5 health minions with Power Word Shield or something. I don't know. If you can pull this off, you just kind of win the game though, right? Deal 7 damage to all enemies. So you wipe your opponent's board and fireball them in the face. Wipe their board and fireball them in the face. If that was a 10-mana card, people would play it. So I don't know. You're getting that plus a 7/7. Like, that is a win the game kind of effect. And it's not a legendary, so you can actually sort of build around this. You can have 2 copies in your deck. Also, I might be wrong because they've been like fiddling with the timing of mechanics and how things work recently, and I've been following that closely enough, so I'm not sure if this is still the case. But I remember Fight Promoter, I don't know if these things still work like this, but when Fight Promoter came out, you could buff it up to 6 health. So that if you played that and that was your only big minion, it would still draw 2 cards. Like, it countered itself. If these cards still work like this, then you should only have to have like 2 7s, 2 whatever you have out, and then you play this and you win the game. So it says 3, but I think you only need to get 2, unless they changed how that works. But I think it counts itself. If the game still works the way it used to work. I honestly don't know. So I don't know how you do this, but if you can do this... Okay, what about Resurrect Priest? What about... Hold on. What about resurrecting minions with exactly 7 health? Or... Oh, Vivid Nightmare wouldn't work. Mirage Cult... No. I don't know. I'm going to think about this one some more. This is a cool puzzle card. I don't know if there's anything to it, but if you can do it, you just win the game. Like, that's a crazy effect. People aren't talking enough about what it does. It's how hard it is to do it, yeah, but what it does is kill your opponent. Harbinger Celestia. Interesting card, very cool design, very cool art. Probably bad. I mean, if it works, 4 mana 5/6 stealth, completely broken. The problem is most decks have something dinky to play into this, so it's 4 mana, get like a Firefly or something. Also, even just where it sits in the curve, there's a lot of chain gangs. So you play this, they play a chain gang, you get a 2/3 taunt, they get 2 2/3 taunts, and you're really sad. So, yeah. Very cool card. But it seems, pretty bad. Whizbang the Wonderful. This is an interesting one. So this is geared towards people, not necessarily new players and not old players, but people who are like casual, like the people who come in for like an expansion drops and they hang out for like a week and then they leave again. And they don't really buy anything or anything. Like, this is for them. If you're one of those people, get this card, and it's going to allow you to play a lot of decks. You can try out a wide variety of cards without having to own those cards. The downside is that you're playing with Blizzard's recipes, which they said they're going to touch up. Are the new recipes out yet? Like, sometimes they do it. They release them early, but they're like locked. Yeah. I don't know. They said they're going to touch up the recipes. If they do that, maybe this is good. But historically, their decks have been really bad. Like, really bad. Some of them just, like you can't win games, basically. So, to have a casual player come in, be handed randomly one of 18 really bad decks. They don't know what they're playing. They don't know what's in their deck. They don't know what all the cards do, probably. They don't know what their win condition is, probably. And it's a bad deck. On top of this, like that doesn't sound like a fun experience to me. Just as a player, I don't think I would enjoy that. So I get what they're trying to do with the card. And it's hard to judge it too harshly because it is dependent on what they decide to put in as the recipes. If the recipes are actually good, then this is a good card. Like, there's no reason this can't be a good card. Literally no reason. If they just have like 18 net decks, then this is a great card. But they're not going to do that. So it's just a question of like how far do they go with the recipes towards making them look like real decks. If they actually look sort of like real decks, maybe it's a good card. But it's entirely up to whatever the recipes are every 4 months. It's a cool idea. I don't trust them to execute it properly based on their history. Subject 9, this card is amazing. People seem to be dismissing this because it says 5. Pretend it doesn't say 5. It doesn't matter. You don't need 5 secrets. If you have a deck that has like 2 or 3 different secrets in, you put this in, and it's crazy. 5 mana 4/4, draw 2 to 3 cards. 5 mana 4/4, draw 2 to 3 cards. That's fucking nuts. Drake saw play in decks that couldn't even really utilize the spell damage, like at all. They played it just because it was a 5 mana 4/4 that cycled itself, and sometimes spell damage was relevant. Sometimes the dragon tag was relevant. That was so good and so widely played, they had to send it out to pasture. Like, you don't build around this card, I don't think. This is just like, if you have secrets in your deck, put this in there, and it's fucking awesome. You don't need to maximize the value. You don't have to have 5 different secrets in your deck for this to be good. You really don't. People always see these things and it's like, it's too hard to pull off that full thing. The whole thing must be garbage. It's just garbage. But, like, it's not what you need. Just get anything and it's good. It's fucking good. Zeliax, you already know he's great. Just want to set the record straight, though. This is Wicker Flame Burn Bristle. This is not Alakir, okay? This is clearly Wicker Flame Burn Bristle, but faster and a robot. Way more in common with him than Alakir, alright? Just get it straight. And then Mecha'thun. Okay, so Mecha'thun is very interesting. I want it to work, but I don't think it works. I want it to work, but I don't think it works. So here's what I've done. I made a Wild Warlock deck. The only new card was Mecha'thun, because Warlock didn't get shit. And basically all it was is just cycle and removal. Most of the deck costs less than 3, or 3, less than 4, 3 or less. There's a Hemmet in there, right? You use the use Thorison to discount Mecha'thun, and then you have everything gone. You play Mecha'thun, Sacrificial Pact. All right. So the idea is you cycle through, you set that up, and then you just end it with the 2-card combo. I played against the Innkeeper. I played against the Innkeeper, Expert Paladin. They were really bad. Their deck was bad. They did not understand that if they just went face, they will kill you, like a normal ladder player in this situation would understand, probably. And they were making completely unnecessary trades with, like, Scarlet Crusaders and stuff. They played horribly with bad cards. I played 3 games. I lost all of them, including 2 in which I got to the final turn and almost pulled off the combo, but died to fatigue like 1 turn before I could do it. So that doesn't mean Mecha'thun is bad, and that was the only card I used, and it was wild, not standard. Obviously, there's more stuff. There's Galvanizer. Galvanizer opens up in standard to use this with a lot of stuff. You can still do the Sacrificial Pact for Warlock. You can do... in Rogue, you discount Mecha'thun with that or Shadow Step. You have a Voodoo Doll that you Shadow Step. Okay. Okay, and then on your final turn, you play Mecha'thun, Voodoo Doll it, Backstab the Voodoo Doll, with those being the final cards in your hand, and then you win. There's a lot of cards in the combo, but you have Myra's Unstable Element and just a lot of card draw in general in Rogue. In Druid, you have a lot of card draw, a lot of armor gain, a lot of stall, a lot of removal. I have some hope that Rogue or Druid might do better than Warlock. I think Warlock kills itself too fast. Or maybe that's just the way I built the deck. It just died too fast. But not Warlock. Druid, you can discount Mecha'thun and then naturalize it. Yeah. It's hard to get rid of all of your cards and then not be dead. This is what I found. Against the Innkeeper. Against the Innkeeper playing poorly, it was hard to get rid of all of your cards and not be dead. Now consider that you're going up against Baku Rogues and Tempo Mages and, other combo decks like Shutterwalk and stuff that are also going pretty fast and they're not taking as many risks as you. Like if you're a Warlock, you're tapping like crazy, so you're getting pretty low. They might not even need to full combo you with Shutterwalk just to kill you with like a couple life drinkers in the pool. Yeah, it's just... The card is really cool. I think it's going to be very difficult to pull off. Almost all of these combos are vulnerable to Geist. The Rogue one isn't. But the Druid and Warlock versions are vulnerable to Geist, which people are actually playing again right now because it counters other Druid decks. Yeah, so... I don't know. Very cool card. I'm glad they brought Cthulhu back. This is a cool way to do it. Probably bad, but maybe there's something to it. Anyways, that's going to be it. I was going to do some, go over some example decks I have ready, but I'm fucking tired. My mouth is tired. Everything's tired. I might do another video later, but if not, this will be the end of the review series, so thank you for not watching this probably. I'm just speaking into the void. Oh my god.